watch that film. It will scar you. You will be mortified. And she was like, that story is based on this real man. And she was like, I just don't want you to be, you know, just scarred forever. And look at me now, Mom. But it's actually so funny. But to this day, I still have not watched it. I've watched other movies that he's inspired. Psycho, he was a big inspiration for Norman Bates. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre, never seen it. But you know, I remember, in my 20s, someone saying, "Let's watch it," and I was like, "No, my mom told me I never could." And for some reason, I just listened. And I told her that recently, and she was like, "Why don't you just watch it?" And I was like, "No, I don't know." But anyways, he really, really inspired a lot of the creepiest characters in Hollywood. So his story is definitely not for the light of, not for the weak. So let's get into it today. So Ed endured a very difficult childhood. His father was an alcoholic and his mother was incredibly verbally abusive towards him. He nevertheless had actually idolized his mother, a fact that always concerned his elderly brother Henry, whom occasionally had confronted her in Ed's presence. His teachers and classmates in elementary school recall him being quite shy, but having very strange mannerisms, such as bursting out in fits of laughter, apparently just at his own internal monologue. I mean, I've done that before, like with a memory, but no, his was a bit different. His school had blamed his mother, who punished him when he tried to make friends. Because of that, for most of his childhood, he was relatively alone and in solitary because she literally would not allow him to have friends, which is so important developmentally, you know. Anyway, aside from penalizing his social life, his mother would confine Ed and his brother Henry to their farm. She would often read to them from the Bible and preach that the world was inherently evil, that all women were prostitutes, and that drinking and immortality were instruments of the devil. I mean, okay, apparently since I'm a woman, I'm a prostitute anyway, and like I'm drinking, so I'm so evil, right? I don't know. That is a bizarre way to look at things, for sure. So when Ed was 38 years old, him and his brother Henry were working in the fields on their farm. They were burning away marsh vegetation, which is a common practice. But when the fire got out of hand and spread, the fire department had needed to be called. After the firefighters had come and gone and the fires were dealt with, Ed had reported his brother was missing. This was afterwards. I feel like if my vegetation was that on fire that I needed to call the department, I'd also be looking for my sibling. I wouldn't wait for them to leave and then be like, oh, still can't find him. I'd be like, guys, please look out for him. But it's Ed Gein, right? So sure enough, his brother Henry had died. And although Ed had reported his brother missing to the police, he was able to lead them directly to where his body was when they arrived. So, hey, he's missing. Oh, you're here finally. Yeah, he's over here. That's suspicious, but okay. So his body was found face down in the marsh, and he had died from asphyxiation. At first, the fire was blamed out, although authorities had realized that Henry was dead before the fire was out of hand, at least, and that he'd had a bunch of bruises all over his Yeah, a little crazy. The only thing that he'd actually lived out of in the house was a small single bedroom that remained, that was unboarded up next to the kitchen. So he had this large farmhouse that he basically made into a small little one-bedroom apartment, essentially, as to not disturb his mother's grounds, really. So the rest of the home deteriorated, as Ed did not really care about upkeep at all. While living in his little farm of seclusion, he became very interested in death cult magazines and Nazi cannibal adventure stories, which, not my taste, but hey, yeah. For the most part, he kept to himself. And in November of 1957, a hardware store owner had disappeared. Bernice Warden had been last seen the previous night and had been reporting missing after the hardware store remained closed for the entire day. Her son Frank, who had happened to be the deputy sheriff, entered the store and discovered that the cash register was open and there was blood stains all over the floor. While interviewing Frank, investigators had found out that Ed had been in the store the previous night and had told Warden that he'd be back in the morning for a gallon of antifreeze. Sure enough, the last sale that was made by Bernice Warden was a gallon of antifreeze. Investigators headed to Ed Gein's home, arresting him and searching the property. They had been prepared to find Bernice Warden's body on the farm. However, nothing really prepared them for what they actually had found. While searching the house, this is where they kind of, the things that they had seen was a lot of what was inspired for Silence of the Lambs, Psycho, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Again, I just dressed up as a butcher. I was gonna be the Texas Chainsaw guy, but I don't know. I haven't seen it. Silence of the Lambs, though, that's a very good movie, as is Psycho. Does it segue here? But did anyone watch the Bates Motel TV show? I was so obsessed with that, and I never finished the final season. I absolutely loved that show. It was so good. I was a big fan. Anyway, so the police entered the home. Sorry for the segue. I just really went off the rails there, hey? I haven't done that in so long. I used to every video. Sorry. So, Ed Gein's home was filled with human body parts. There was countless bones, both whole and fragmented, skulls impaled on his bedposts, and bowls and kitchen utensils made from skulls. Worse than the bones that were found, however, were the household items that were made from human skin. Authorities found chairs upholstered in human skin, a waste basket made of human skin, leggings made from human skin, masks that were made from people's faces that he had basically cut off, a belt made of nipples, a pair of lips being used as a window shade drawstring, a corset made from a female torso, and a lampshade made from a human's face. That is so disgusting. Imagine, how would you be able to comprehend what you were actually looking at? If you entered that home, you arrested him, you go in to go and check on things. It's so gross. Okay. Though there were parts of countless bodies found in his home, Ed was arraigned on only one count of murder: Bernie's Wardens. Ed Gein had pled guilty, not guilty, by reasons of insanity. He clearly was, and was declared unfit to stand trial. He was sent to the Central State Hospital for the criminally insane, where he was diagnosed with schizophrenia. He was retired once after the doctors believed that he could participate in a trial, but was again declared mentally insane. He was confined to spend the rest of his life in a mental hospital and died as one of history's most disturbing serial killers at the Mendota Mental Health Institute at the age of 77 on July 26, 1984. Yeah. So that's the story of Ed Gein. I'd known of Ed Gein. I didn't actually really know too much of his actual storyline or anything that he'd actually I didn't really know the details exactly, but just reading it I can see so clearly exactly what they took to make Silence of the Lambs, absolutely, to make like especially the suit and the guy, you know, doing his dance, for sure, for Buffalo Bill, right, as well as for Psycho. I haven't really seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I'm pretty sure that he, like, you know, wasn't it a bunch of teenagers, and I don't know. I don't know, but very, very scary reality. This guy was clearly severely disturbed in general. So, had you guys heard this story before? I am certain